It's a question of taste now on BBC Two as a new series of Trouble at the Top reveals the branding blunder that brought one of the world's biggest corporations to its knees.
This is the story of the biggest marketing blunder in history, made by one of the slickest corporate operators in the world. They had the most famous product on the planet. It was worth millions and swallowed by billions. A brown, fizzy concoction whose secret formula had remained unchanged for almost 100 years. Then, the men in suits decided it was time to do the unthinkable, to change the taste.
This is the best news about Coca-Cola that we've ever announced or ever will announce. We've got such confidence in the product, we know we've got a winner.
What the big boys didn't know was that their own loyal customers would try and stop them, dead in their tracks.
I really hated them. I guess I could say I hated them.
Like horse piss. Now, I don't know what horse piss tastes like, but if horse piss tasted like anything, it was the new Coke.
This is the story of New Coke and how the world's best-loved brand was brought to its knees, begging for forgiveness. The story begins in 1886, when an Atlanta pharmacist invented a medicinal tonic, just one of many being peddled to stimulate the spirits of the American people. Soon after, it fell into the hands of a shrewd Atlanta family who took the secret formula, the distinctive bottle and unique script, and marketed them like no other product in history. There was always an arch rival, but no matter how hard Pepsi-Cola tried, Coca-Cola remained out in front. The company made sure Coke was available everywhere in America, from service stations to cinemas, bowling alleys to banks.
It was a very simple idea. You want Coca-Cola where people can't avoid it. Wherever they go, you want Coca-Cola to be there. You don't need it, but it's always nice to have a Coke.
I can remember traveling. Wherever you'd go, you'd see a big sign of Coke, or you'd see some gal with a Coca-Cola with a bottle there and whatnot. It was painted on barns. It was painted. It was just, no matter where you went, you saw Coca-Cola. It was really represented us. It was really part of being American.
So much so that in World War II, the government made sure that every man in uniform had Coca-Cola within arm's reach. 64 bottling plants were opened around the globe. At war's end, the soldiers went home, but Coca-Cola stayed behind. World domination had begun.
50 million times a day, at home, at work, or on the way, there's nothing like a Coca-Cola, nothing like a Coke.
Coke has a distinctive flavor all its own that no one has ever succeeded in matching.
Over the next 20 years, Coca-Cola came to stand a colossus over the fizzy drinks industry. By the middle of the century, Pepsi-Cola was a distant second, with Coke outselling it by 2-1.
As a child, that's really all there was Coca-Cola. I hated water. Everything was Coca-Cola. I just don't even remember any other soft drink growing up.
While head office drove the marketing, a network of independent bottlers churned out the product and promoted the Coca-Cola way of life.
It was sweet, it was cold, it was refreshing, and you took a little break from your work and everybody laughed and sat around and drank their Coca-Cola. So we were in the Coca-Cola business, but actually what we were selling was 5 minutes of break time to the world.
I like to teach the world to sing with me.
By the time Coca-Cola was teaching the world to sing in 1971, the company and its secret formula looked invincible. But suddenly, Coca-Cola wasn't singing such a happy tune. After a lifetime of being second best, Pepsi finally discovered a chink in Coca-Cola's armor. It was the taste.
Can you tell me which one you prefer?
L. I like L better.
I'll take the shield away, and we'll let you in on our secret. You're both sure you like L better.
Right.
What was your choice? L is what?
Pepsi. Is Pepsi.
Ready?
The Pepsi challenge got right up Coke's nose.
Fact is, in tests like these, nationwide, more people prefer the taste of Pepsi over Coca-Cola.
Well, lo and behold, much to our surprise, and not so much surprise, but absolute sheer terror, people were picking Pepsi over Coke.
What did you choose?
Pepsi. I'll be a son of a gun.
It seemed people liked the sweeter taste of Pepsi.
Pepsi. That's incredible. I really didn't know that there was a difference.
And strangely enough, the Coca-Cola ran some blind tests and came up with the same conclusion. Panic ensued.
All across America, people are taking the Pepsi challenge. In California,
I think in the halls of the Coca-Cola Company that for the first time,
I didn't think these things were true.
the question was raised. Is it possible that Pepsi tastes better than Coca-Cola? If you'd asked me, I would have said, why, you got to be out of your mind. What in the world have you been smoking? That's not possible. But as the evidence mounted and the market shares began to slip, we were sitting there screaming, we got to do something. We've got to increase market share.
At home in Atlanta, Georgia, Coca-Cola tried everything. More advertising, more marketing, better distribution. Pepsi's sales continued to grow as Coca-Cola's remained flat. In 1975, Pepsi finally became #1 in supermarket sales. So when new chairman Roberto Goizueta and President Donald Keogh took charge in the 1980s, they were determined to shake things up.
Let's shoot a sacred cow every day. Everything's up for grabs, including the formulations of the company. Well, that was lifting a veil off of this company that just had been there for decades. It gave units of the company the right to play around a little bit, to experiment, to think of ideas. Diet Coke, Cherry Coke.
When Diet Coke was launched and became a huge success, the company decided to go one step further. In secret, behind the locked doors of Coca-Cola's laboratories, a search began for a new Coke that would beat the taste of Pepsi. New formulas were created, tested against Pepsi, and rejected when they didn't come out on top. Finally, in late 1984, the chemists came across a new taste that they thought was a winner.
From that began a series of testing. It looked better and better. Hundreds of tests, better. Thousands of tests, better.
Across the nation, from New York to California, the company carried out 200,000 secret taste tests. Not only did the new taste beat the original formula of Coke, it also beat Pepsi. The executives believed they had found the Holy Grail. They were so sure that after 99 years of success, they decided to dump the original formula. Every bottle and every can would be filled with the new taste of Coke. It was time to tell a select few outside the executive floor. One of the first was Alvin Schechter, the man who would have to redesign Coke's packaging. On a visit to headquarters, Schechter was suddenly taken to the executive tower. The top brass couldn't wait to share their brilliant scheme. Schechter wasn't sure it was so brilliant.
It was just thrown at me. We're going to change the formula of Coca-Cola after 100 years of keeping the formula locked in a safe deposit box at the Trust Company of Georgia. I was amazed. Because when you talk Coca-Cola, you're talking 100 years. And suddenly, they were going to abandon that because of the Pepsi challenge. You know, typically one would say, wow, it's a terrific idea. Let me at him, you know, let me get this going. This is fantastic. And I didn't have any of that feeling. If anything, I would have said, that's interesting. And of course, we'll do the best job we can. Fortunately, the project had such heavy weight that it was sort of inappropriate to start jumping up and down. It seemed to me that it was perhaps an overreaction to what may have been a passing trend.
As a final rite of passage, Schechter was asked to take the ultimate taste test.
I basically could not tell the difference between old Coke, new Coke, and Pepsi, because I have a reaction to sugar. So I was not a great taster.
Putting his doubts aside, Schechter returned to his New York office to transform the sacred icon. Around the corner in 3rd Avenue, the company's ad agency set up a war room in a separate building to execute the top-secret campaign. Security guards and a paper shredder were placed at the door to prevent any leaks. For 3 months, everyone worked to keep the project under wraps. By spring, the advertising was ready and the new designs complete.
A great new taste, now it's opening night. A colossal event, it is reaching new heights.
It was such a secret that when the company summoned its bottlers to Atlanta in April 1985, everyone wondered what the song and dance was about.
Oh, the speculation was rampant. We didn't know what it was going to be. The idea that they would change the taste of Coke was, I don't think that crossed many people's minds.
Can the best get better? My answer to you is, of course, the best always do. Simply stated, my friends, we have a new formula for Coke.
We thought this was the thing to do. We welcomed it. We thought, God, what a fresh idea.
Thank you.
The idea that 80 some odd years of Coca-Cola, and now the world has changed, the young people are in charge, and now we're going to have a taste that suits them. God, what a modern company this is, how right this is. And we were just ecstatic. It was electric in the air.
When we finally announced it, we got a standing ovation, and we thought victory was at hand. You know?
The next day, swollen with confidence, the victory parade marched on to New York City. Here, the world's skeptical press assembled for the great announcement. The New York Times' Pamela Holly was among them.
Announcements are everyday events, and frankly, most people would ignore them. But in this case, if you get the top of the company showing up to tell you something new, and it's supposed to be the biggest thing in nearly 100 years, well, you go.
I'm going to get right to the point. The best soft drink, Coca-Cola, is now going to be even better. Simply stated, we have a new formula for Coke.
Oh my gosh, they're going to change Coke. And then I thought, no, that's not what they said. Clearly that's not what they said. I wasn't listening carefully. Let's do this again.
A new taste for Coke, destined to refresh tomorrow's world.
The room went very silent for just a couple of seconds, just enough to sort of punctuate it.
Thank you very much, Roberto. Well, we simply believe that this is the biggest news about Coca-Cola and the best news about Coca-Cola that we've ever announced or ever will announce. Consumers preferred the new taste over the original by a margin of 61 to 39, statistically valid to a factor of over 99%. So, as Roberto indicated, the decision was made by the consumers themselves. Consumers have selected a new taste for Coke as we enter our centennial year. Coca-Cola with that new taste is going to roll all around the world.
This time, there was no standing ovation.
I mean, are you 100% certain that this won't bomb, this new formula?
As I said, I think this is the surest move ever, because the consumer made it. We didn't.
And we think there's going to be enormous trial as we roll out this product, and we've got such confidence in the product, we know we've got to win it.
Then came the obvious question that neither executive wanted to answer.
To what extent are you introducing this product to meet the Pepsi challenge?
Oh, gosh, no. I mean, that's Pepsi challenge. When did that happen? That's okay for number 2, always.
Are you saying that the Pepsi-Cola has no more to do with this than Heinz baked beans or Hershey's Kisses?
Well, I don't know. You can handle the English better than I can, so I'm not going to get into that argument with you, but I would say that the consumer had everything to do with this.
Thank you.
The word Pepsi wouldn't go away.
Most Coke drinkers look for the crisp and refreshing taste of Coke. I mean, if we want a Pepsi, we'd buy Pepsi.
Well, there, honey, ma'am, I can tell you that what you're going to get when you try this new product is Coca-Cola even better.
It's not even close to Pepsi.
It's not close to anything you've ever had.
Not at all. Not at all.
Except a Coke.
Not at all.
Is the bottom line that you simply added more sweetness to make it competitive with?
We sort of didn't feel too good about how well we did. I thought probably we didn't do it very well. There wasn't much electricity in the air.
Thank you very much, and I'd like to invite you to the lobby to try the new taste of Coca-Cola.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're tampering with a product that is so close to the American identity that that no matter how many taste tests you may do, this doesn't address that gut instinct about this product being ours.
Then, with the reverence afforded a fine wine, the tasting began. Pamela Holly was one of the first.
It's sort of flat, and it is sweet, sort of like you left it in an open can in the refrigerator a while.
Either this was an incredibly clever calculation, or it was an incredibly bad miscalculation. And we weren't that sure, frankly, that day.
Introducing the new taste of Coca-Cola. In this country, the best have a way of getting better, and Coke just did. From today, there's a
Coke unleashed a marketing juggernaut. One of the biggest marketing campaigns in history made sure that within days, 96% of the American people were aware of New Coke. In fact, more people knew about New Coke than knew who was the President of the United States. The new drink started to roll out. There was no escaping it. In every city and every town, Coca-Cola made sure the new soft drink's arrival was an event.
Great hoopla. Everybody knew about it. Everybody wanted to taste it. This was just the greatest thing that had ever happened. We were filling up the shelves. People were grabbing it and running out of the stores.
In the quiet community of Huntington Woods, Michigan, one person remained unimpressed. Her name was Libby Levine.
I was livid, just livid. I was so livid that I wasn't sure what I was going to do and didn't know what to do or how to find out why they're doing this or whatever. But I was just livid. I was really ticked. Not only were they taking away the taste, they were taking away a product that's been part of America. I mean, that's what we all grew up on. At that time, I was 35 years old. That's all I knew. And for them to take it away, who are they?
Distressed, Libby reached out and contacted her local newspaper to find out whether she was the only one stricken by the news.
When I mentioned I was such a Coke-aholic, that I had my own Coke machine and I was hoarding everywhere I went, if I heard that 30 miles away a store had some old Coke, I'd be right there buying it. Well, they thought it was kind of cute, so they decided to come and do a story on me.
I don't know how you'd compute how much free publicity we got, but we didn't think of the press coverage being bad. We knew we'd get some bad reactions, so that the early reactions, we thought, we'll just wait till they get the new product. Let's just let a little time take place. It's all part of the process.
The company set out to convert the nation by handing out hundreds of thousands of free drinks. It was every man to the pump.
Where's my first customer here? You got it. Okay.
Who else needs a Coke?
Enjoy. Hello, young man. You ready for a Coke? Have a Coke. I love this work.
Only the more people tasted it, the more the opposition grew.
I can't tell the difference between the new taste of Coke and the old taste of Pepsi.
Why are you upset about it?
Because I'm 46 years old and I bought my first Coke with a nickel when I was 5 years old. I helped build this multinational corporation. My oldest daughter is 22. Her first word was Coke. Her second word was Mommy.
The protesters needed leadership. They were about to get it from two Seattle residents, Frank Olson and Gay Mullins. The duo were mad as hell and weren't going to take it anymore.
I remember it. The waitress come up and he ordered Coke for breakfast. I mean, not coffee, Coke. And then she asked him, well, do you want the old Coke or new Coke? And he says, oh, I want the old Coke. He says, that new Coke just tastes bad.
It's like horse piss. To me, I mean, now I don't know what horse piss tastes like, but if horse piss tasted like anything, it was the new Coke.
And he said, let's fight him. Let's get an organization and start it up. And
I just need $5,000.
Yeah, that was all.
Yeah, and I says, and I'll get this guy to be spokesman, and I just need $5,000. And Gay says, all right. And then I had it.
By installing a bank of telephones in an empty shop, Gay and Frank gave birth to the old cola drinkers of America.
Well, what we want is to get the old taste of Coke back.
The pair realized they would have to use every trick in the book to do battle with the best marketer in the world.
Our job was to make Gay look like the simple man that loved his Coca-Cola.
Mullins was furious when Coke changed its formula.
And I said, they can't do it. That's un-American, because we fought wars to have a choice, to have freedom.
On the other side of the country, Libby Levine was becoming a pin-up for the anti-Coke sentiment bubbling up across the nation.
The Coke Lady, Huntington Woods, Michigan. I ended up with thousands of letters. It was amazing from so many different people, prisoners in jail, people off the street, elderly kids, letters from doctors that would state that they used to prescribe the Coca-Cola for stomach ailments. And since they've tasted the new Coke, that it tasted so vile that there was no way that they could prescribe that. The prisoner's letter stated to me that when he tasted the new Coke, to him it tasted like panther piss. And my husband and I read that letter, and we just cracked up laughing. And then, of course, we agreed.
In 5 weeks, 30 million gallons of new Coke had been shipped out. Every American was now getting a chance to taste the new, improved drink.
Some of our boys started coming back in and saying, you know, some of the people don't like this new taste. Well, they'll get used to it. Don't worry about it. We know the research is right. They told us so in Atlanta, and we heard about it in New York. Yeah, this is the right. And in a couple of weeks, more guys would come in and say, you know, a lot of people don't like this new taste of Coke. Well, maybe even we wavered a little bit, but you had to wave the flag, so we just kept sticking to our guns.
In Atlanta, the flag waving continued.
If you can do something better, if you can offer something better to loyal consumers of yours for 99 years, you give me a reason why we should not do that. The one thing that you have to do is do your homework right. But we have done that, absolutely.
The company knew it had to work. The research proved people preferred the new taste. Only that didn't explain the 5,000 phone calls coming into Coca-Cola headquarters each day.
I was shocked at the anger, the sheer anger in a lot of these phone calls.
Hi, Coca-Cola, this is Shelby. This is Kelly. How may I help you?
We know what new Coke is. It's Pepsi and drag.
Hi, Coca-Cola, this is Shelby.
We got some funeral wreaths.
Coca-Cola, this is Danny.
I got a letter directed to the head dodo of the Coca-Cola company.
Coca-Cola, this is Shelby.
Coca-Cola, this is Christia.
A lawyer in Idaho who wanted us to, Roberto and me, to sign the bottom of the letter because he said it'll carry the signatures of 2 of the dumbest bastards in the history of American business.
One moment, please.
When there's a thunderstorm going on, you say, well, let's wait till the thunderstorm dies down a little. But it was a long thunderstorm.
Coca-Cola Drinkers of America, thank you for participating.
At Gay and Frank's more modest headquarters in Seattle, the telephones were also ringing.
The phone calls would ring continuously, and they would. As soon as you put the phone back on the hook, it would ring.
We had
and you would
15
pick it up
lines,
again.
and it rang 24 hours a day, all the time, and you got people registering, and for $3 you could get a pin and a membership card.
19 after the hour, a reminder that
soon Gay and Frank were hot tickets on radio talk shows across the nation.
Toronto wins tonight against Milwaukee. Now, Gay, Mullins, first of all, what did you think the first time you tasted the new Coke?
It gagged me. It was terrible. Too sweet.
It would start in the morning at 5, 6 o'clock. I'd have to come in and would start giving radio talk shows and answer the phone. And I could go up to about 3 o'clock and I'd just burn out. And so he would be Gay Mullins from 3 o'clock to 8 or 10 o'clock at night, whenever it was. And so there was 2 of us.
Or we'd do 2 or 3 shows at once. So I'd be Gay Mullins in New York, and he was maybe Gay Mullins in Chicago.
We are suing them for fraud. I have just purchased my first share of stock, and through a proxy fight, I want to get on the board of directors and fire these guys. If they don't change, they're committing corpicide.
Corpicide?
Correct.
Coke, why'd you let us down? You're known in every town, and things will never be the same.
The revolution moved from the airwaves to the streets.
To make you #1, we don't think it's right to make this change.
99 years of marketing was going down the drain.
So we just like to say that the good old USA.
I didn't think they cared. businesses are businesses, and businesses are gonna do what they have to do to make the buck. And obviously somewhere, some of those corporate people decided that they needed to do something to make a buck.
Only, as bottlers like Frank Barron found out, the new drink wasn't making a buck. Even in Coca-Cola's heartland, sales were falling, and falling fast.
The salesman would bring in the sales figures for the day, and the individual would come in and talk to you and say, geez, old so-and-so, you remember him out in West Rome or whatever? He's really mad, and he's thinking about discontinuing Coca-Cola, and ye kids, put in Pepsi? Oh, what a horrible thought that is. Wearing a Coca-Cola uniform was a wonderful thing to do. You could go anywhere you wanted to in the community. People never looked at you twice. They portrayed trust, good people, honest people. One of our route supervisors in Dalton was buried in his Coca-Cola uniform. He was that proud of it. Well, now all of a sudden, here's an industry that we're not so sure about anymore. They've changed the taste, and everybody hates it. And our men on the routes are catching the devil every day. They would come in and say, you know, I just don't think I can go out tomorrow. I just don't think I can take another day. These people are just killing us. That's when my uncle and I, my father long since gone, which is probably a good thing, my uncle and I started calling the Coca-Cola company and saying, listen, y'all, we've got to do something. This thing is not working.
2 months in, and America was falling out of love with Coca-Cola. The number of complaining calls had risen to 8,000 a day, while a church in the American South prayed for the soul of the local Coca-Cola bottler. In a final humiliation, Fidel Castro proclaimed that the death of the original formula was a sign of American decay. In the corridors of power, the executives felt under siege.
During the middle of it, I did know that we had to keep our head straight, that not to panic, not to let anybody think we were in any panic mode, and that we had a huge system that would face up to the situation and deal with it. I didn't have a chance, certainly personally, to reflect on whether we had done a stupid thing, because we were now dealing with the mother lode and we had to deal with it.
Leaving the protests behind, the executives flew to Monaco to meet the world's top Coca-Cola bottlers. To their horror, they found the bottlers outside the US were not that interested in new Coke either. Deflated, the executives and their wives retreated to a restaurant in the hills, away from the turmoil.
A thing happened. We were sitting there, and the proprietor knew who was there, and he was very happy we were there. And he was sort of a classic, almost out of central casting innkeeper. And he came in with a little wicker basket with a velvet cloth on top, and he set it on the table, and he said, it's a real thing. It's the real Coke. Man, I tell you, to realize that this thing that was going on in the United States had penetrated into this one person, this old innkeeper. Kind of made you think, really think. And neither of us remember who brought it up, but one of us looked at the other and said, what are we doing? What are we doing here? It's pretty clear that the public has decided, the bottlers have decided this, the United States has decided that they like the Coca-Cola that they've been getting for almost 100 years. So let's not be foolish. Let's give it back to them.
The company had spent years and millions to replace the old formula. Now, after being off the shelves just 11 weeks, it was coming back, renamed Coca-Cola Classic, to stand alongside New Coke.
Our boss is the consumer, and we want them to know that we're really sorry for any discontent that we may have caused for almost 3 months. And Coca-Cola Classic is truly a celebration of their loyalty. Some critics will say Coca-Cola has made a marketing mistake. And some cynics say that we planned the whole thing. The truth is, we're not that dumb, and we're not that smart.
What's a good word? Capitulate? They gave up. They were wrong. We surrendered.
And I have now a 6-pack from the first case of Coca-Cola Classic produced in Atlanta and air freighted out to us. Dave, congratulations and thank you very much.
What a pleasure. Thank you, Mr. Collins.
You're certainly welcome.
I always felt that this showed a lot of the communistic countries where they didn't have the freedoms, what you could do in America, that one individual could get together and through the news media and stuff could defeat a multinational company.
Now, it was worth working for.
They didn't understand they weren't just selling sugar water, they were selling a tradition.
Even Coca-Cola itself had failed to realize how successful 99 years of polished, relentless marketing had been. The taste was almost irrelevant. They had made Coke part of America, as sacred as the flag, Mom, and apple pie.
Probably there are psychiatrists and psychologists that can explain this to you far better than I. But I know that we took something that was 100%, to my way of thinking, 100% American, 100% pure, 100% wonderful, and we messed around with it, and people didn't like that.
It was a big mistake. I mean, they were taking away Coca-Cola. So yeah, that definitely was a big mistake. I'll still say it's a big mistake. 17 years later, it's a big mistake.
But people were again talking about and drinking Coke. The biggest marketing blunder in history seemed to revitalize the company. By year's end, Coca-Cola stock had risen by 35%. A short time later, Coca-Cola Classic was back at #1, and it's still there today.
Now, do we wish that every regular Coca-Cola drinker had fallen in love with the new product? Of course we do. Do we believe in the long-term viability of the success of the new taste of Coke? Absolutely.
New formula Coke never caught on. The company eventually allowed it to fade into obscurity. The chairman and the president received huge bonuses in the year of New Coke and went on to make Coca-Cola one of the most successful companies of the next decade.
The taste of Coke.